Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. There's so much going on. I don't know how much people are involved with the UFO world right now. There's so many movies and TV shows and everything talking about certain things, but sadly, nothing important. All right. Now, I don't know if you saw the title. All right. Because the reckoning is happening. And what it means is the truth's coming out, not because people want it, not because the government wants it. And whether I would say the aliens want it or not, that's a different story. Because if they wanted everything to be known, they'd be here saying hello or goodbye, whatever. Uh, since there's so much going on the planet right now, and there's very little truth, or anything coming out. Yes, there's a lot of videos coming out, and the government doesn't even like the word UFOs. So now they're going to call it phenomena, unidentified phenomena, meaning who knows what it is. Like they don't know. All right. Yes, there's whistleblowers coming out with this story and that story. But you know what they're coming out with? The idea that we did discover or have found UFOs. The government. Okay, we know that. And trying to prove it now? Why? They found these ships in the 50s. All right. The newest ships, they're not shooting down people. They can't. Realize when we move forward every 25 years, we take a giant leap. All right, from the 1950 to now, what our cars, our planes, and everything look like. Imagine a race that's thousands of years older than ours, and the technology that they already had a long time ago. Where are they going? I don't know if you follow Billy Myers. Well, he came out in the 50s showing videos of ships over his house, and famous people went out to see him, took him to California, trying to get him to stay there. Uh, But he did a number on himself. He put a picture up saying this is one of the aliens. It was a girl from the Mickey Mouse Club. And then even Shirley MacLaine went out there. But he made a fake copy of a ship out of a garbage can cover and stuff. And it took away his credibility. Plus, these UFOs, the people that beings that he was supposed to be working with, the Pleiadians, they fly around in a circle. They got nothing else to do but fly around in a circle over his house. I mean, really? So, and that's a long time ago. The only thing that he actually brought out, he brought out a prophecy that they gave him, 100 prophecies, and he went sending that to every government around the planet. About 90 of them came true. Is it beneficial? Of course not. Knowing the future and not being able to do a thing about it, or not doing anything about it, is useless. And I'm not going to go into that in detail, but my friends that claim to be psychic prophesized this or that. And guess what? They didn't stop it, didn't change it, didn't even go there when it was supposed to happen. Uh, Michael Scallion was one of the top psychics until 1995. He prophesized the world changing, shrinking, and becoming this, that. He showed the places to live. Uh, but after 95, he kind of disappeared. You don't hear him, you don't see his name or anything. Good friend Sean David Morton was a top psychic until he was arrested. All right, and he was arrested with 150 false charges. People, whether they want to hear it or not. He wasn't a thief. He didn't steal all this money from everybody. He did get involved with an organization that actually, one person who stole a lot of money, but it wasn't his fault. Uh, I lost money. A lot of people lost lots of money, but this person hid it offshore. Finally surrendered because even the mob was after him. But that doesn't matter because now we're in a new time frame. Everything that's happening is out there mainstream, whether you see it or not. I mean, the videos going up online, every video that goes up could be real, could be fake. And now with the idea of AI, most people would rather think it's AI creating whatever it is. Put anything up, well, that was created by AI. You put your own picture up, well, that's not really the person. So it's hard to get any truth, even though the person I work with for years, we put pictures up from 96 to 2002, and then we did shows years later on Coast to Coast, and put pictures up every week. Now they're all copyrighted and taken down. But for the longest time, they were all public. Everybody could see them. And it wasn't a Tic Tac. And I mean, I just watched the show last night. This is the most famous video of a Tic Tac. Really? We shot a ship stopping, shooting ships out and moving. I filmed the ship just about a week ago for 4 minutes over my house. And only went about this far. But then a day after, I saw a trail of ships. I can't prove that they were UFOs or Mr. Musk's ships of whatever he does now. But it was incredible because there must have been about 13 of them, 14, going like this. All different spaces, not like the exact same space or anything either. But it all happened in a short period of time. I'd say about a couple minutes, and I filmed it. And then we just had something really recent in Hawaii nobody's talking about. You know, there was a story that happened a couple of days ago. A girl fell off the cliffs at about 3 o'clock in the morning into the water. Guy filmed it, tried throwing her a life raft, and she ended up drowning. And for like an hour and a half after sunrise, there was helicopters and a small plane flying around, and they pulled her out. But she died. But before that, I was out early. I try to wake up if the sky is clear and film the sky because there's so much stuff going on in Hawaii. And when I went out, and this is no lie, people, at 1, 2, 3, there was either 5 or 6, I'm not sure, but because there was helicopters coming later, but giant ships, army planes, super big, really low over the earth. I mean, closer to the trees than being up in the sky. And they weren't going to watch and look out for a girl drowning in the water. You know what it would cost to put 6 super giant planes out to save one person? They don't do that for anybody. I mean, if it was the president, maybe, but not some girl in the middle of the night who, whatever the reason was, fell off the cliffs and stuff like that. But I filmed it all. I didn't even take it off my camera. But people, the things that are happening are crazy, and you don't hear it. The things that are important are squashed. And then we get fed all the bull. All the stories of ancient aliens and UFOs, unknown phenomena, all right, and things like that, all the shows coming out, they talk about things and they show videos of things, but you know, they always have some other person that'll disprove it. I mean, there's one show that's all they do is disprove everything. If they can recreate it, it was fake. You know, you could recreate anything now, but was it the first thing that really happened? For instance, I went to a conference. I met this guy who filmed this stick alien walking around in the yard, and then it was on that show. And they put these strings up and put this little stick puppet on the string and jiggled it, and so this how it had to be done. I met the person. He's not crazy, not stupid, not trying to make money off of it, and it definitely wasn't fake. He's involved, and this is the same person, involved in the biggest discovery of artifacts in Mexico. I'm talking thousands of carved statues and different sizes of alien stuff, from aliens to ships to objects and things that they made. And they found this, and they still find them in this dig. I have a friend that bought 100 of them, had enough money to buy them because this person needed money to keep digging. But you don't see much of that. I have a CD on it. He put out a bunch of CDs. I can't find his name or anything, but he put it up online to sell it. But the things he found, I'm talking even up at like a 6-foot statue of an alien buried underground. All these things were buried a long time ago. A whole chain of artifacts buried. Why would that happen, people? Think about it. Why would a race bury all this stuff? Because you didn't want somebody to find it. All right? Like they do with all these other artifacts. They're buried for a reason. Now, I will give you another piece of information. And this is information you probably don't know, believe, or accept. We do have the ability to do time travel. It was given to us in the early 1900s. It took a while for the government to create it. In 1947, from about 43, they were working on it and did something called the Philadelphia experiment. Read about it. It's real. It really happened. One person was alive after that went down, and I was friends with him. And he was offered millions of dollars to go back in time. Rather, like the last time I met with him, they offered him money to go back in time. But he told me they could only kill him after a certain date. And sure enough, he died that month that he said that's the only date that they can kill him. Because he went back in time, it was a matter of the cycle of time and things and all that. But it's complicated. The government has a time travel device now. I mean, if you watch that TV show, you would see it. But it's for real. I would tell you, most of the stuff you see on TV is based on facts that are hidden, not talked about, or proven. So when we talk about what's really going on, uh, there's about 2 or 3 UFO conferences every month now, and they're happening around the world. My co-host just did a show or a workshop and everything in England. She's in hospital. She can't come on now. Her mom is really sick. So sorry about that, people. But getting back to the point is, she had a big workshop asking for people that have experience to come to it. I want to deal with people. I'd bring people on my show if I trusted them, knew what they were saying was real, and they had some kind of way of proving it. All right, which they usually don't. Uh, all these whistleblowers coming out, you know, I use the word BALLS, okay, because these people came out, what, 25, 30, 40 years later? I mean, how many people come out like, oh, yesterday I was at Area 51 and they just released the ship? And I mean, how many people talk like that? Now, this is a fact, people. To all the UFO people out there, speakers, top speakers or not, Sean David Martin, years ago, had a van, he rented a van with 6 people, and they went out to Area 51. And they all watched this mothership come in, a giant mothership. Uh, and he tried to prove that, but after they found them up there, that's when they bought all that land and made it impossible to get anywhere near it now. But he was on a TV show, Montel Williams, and he was telling Montel Williams, and Montel Williams says, "Well, I'll go out there." But they were showing all the documents of Sean David Martin because they had this terrorist, I would call him a terrorist, trying to downgrade everything that Sean said. Oh, that's not real. He didn't do it. And they showed the documents while the show was going on. And he asked him to come out December, like 15. He goes, oh, I'll come out there, come out there. So December 15th happened, and he didn't go. So he went in January. He goes by himself. He goes, I went out there in January. I'm friends with the 4-star general out there. Nothing's going on. It's a small base and nothing's going on. He didn't go out with Sean because he would have saw a ship come in. So, and then he came out and did a show later when Sean wasn't on the show and said that. And this is claiming he was friends with the 4-star general, went out to Area 51, walked around it and saw nothing. You know, people that work with the government can't say anything if they're real. All right, whistleblowers, if they're out there speaking, and I'm saying a fact, I had 15 or 16, oh man, I'm going to lose count, that were taken out by who? Guess who? All right, now, one, I'll tell you one. I had a good friend. I knew him since I was 12 years old. He's working for NASA, was, all right, and I met him at a conference, a UFO conference, and he goes, I'm not even supposed to be here. So come over to my house. I will show you some pictures of stuff. He came over, and he told us how they make planes disappear in the sky and all kinds of things. And then he saw some videos and pictures of it we had. And he said, well, what I'm planning on doing, and he told us this thing, I'm not going to go into the detail, but let's get together in 3 days. Within those 3 days, his whole family disappeared. The kids were taken out of school. His family was gone. All right. And that's only one case. But people, you know, if you put truth out that the government doesn't want out there, they don't pay somebody to take you out. They don't have to. In detail, I have two personal friends, one super famous that worked for the government when he was younger, taking out people for the government. All right. Now we have people in the UFO world that are probably the most evil, ignorant, I don't even know what words I could say to put on top of it, greatest liars in the UFO world. And his name, if you want to know his name, I'm sure you know it all, people, Stephen Greer. He's, for a word, delusional. He came out with stories in the beginning. Oh, he saw a ship. Over the past couple of years, oh, he was next to an alien and all. He increases his story, which most UFO people do. Every time they tell this story, it gets better. Not worse or stay the same. It gets better. All right. In the interim, he actually said the government offered him $3 billion to walk away from the UFO world. There's not one person on the planet that had a brain that would do that. Why would you? I mean, he could have created 100 UFO things underground and around the planet and did a lot of things with that kind of money if he was really offered it. To say he turned it down, all right, said he was a doctor, all right? And during that time frame, he gave it up to become a UFO speaker and work in the UFO world. How much money was he making? Well, in 1996, I had a friend who was doing an investigation on Stephen Greer. Never found half of the evidence or proof that whatever he was saying was real. So where did his money come from? Who's he really working for? I can't even say he's working for the government, but he's working for somebody. Maybe he's working for the aliens themselves. But he's lying. We do not need to talk to aliens. They have nothing to offer. They never did. In 100,000 years that I am aware of, they never did one positive thing for the human race. All right. And they weren't the ones that created us. They weren't the ones that brought us here. I'm not going to go into that, but that's not how it happened, people. Now, in the interim, I know there's 9 races working with us, and they're all bad. Now, famous person in the UFO world who was taken out, died, and another person as well. Putin even said it. There's 27 alien races working with the government and their government. Think about that, people. Putin actually said that on Russian TV, and he said it to Trump. So, do you want to believe that? But they're not good. And if they were, they'd be helping us. All they're doing is working on weapons, creating more scenarios for war. So, if you can consider that help, and I hate to say it, the white race was always the instigator of wars based on religion as well. Now, religions have a big thing to do with everything that's happening. The Pope actually covered up UFO stuff, and I mean his prime minister, whatever those people under him are called, came out and said, we're going to teach aliens Christianity and teach them the Catholic religion. Where did they come up with stuff like that? People, I only deal with the truth, and I know people don't like it. I mean, people come and go in here because they're afraid to hear anything real, and they want to believe their twisted little story, what the government is not doing, and what they think they're doing, and all that kind of stuff. Well, look at it this way. The truth is, the government's been working with aliens for a long time. Why? Because it's all about weapons. But the problem is, aliens are not beneficial to the human race. And we had 3 major wars on the planet, people. You don't hear the UFO people talking about that. Why not? All right. Now, oh no, they're going to stop us. They're going to help. No, they're not. They never did. Now, another thing I learned, anywhere there's a major base, army base, there's always an alien base. They watch everything that goes down. And if you think they're going to help us with nuclear weapons and stuff, they're not. The world's probably going to be destroyed within a period of time. But we're going to see the worst disaster, people. I don't care what psychic, what spiritual person think they are and things like that. In the next 6 years, you're going to see the worst changes to the planet ever. AI is going to be in full swing, in control of most things. The population will be depleted. And now, think about it. Aliens don't need 8 billion people either. The government doesn't need 8 billion people. Feeding those kind of numbers is pretty incredibly hard, especially when the United States wastes so much food and the food's so toxic and everything else that's going on. Uh, we're in trouble, people. You don't have to believe it. But in reality, what's going to happen very soon, and every couple months that go by, it's going to get worse. The volcano chart has never been this bad, ever in 100 years. Since the 1900s, it has never been that bad in the Ring of Fire. The currents of the ocean have changed. This year alone, in Hawaii, thousands and thousands of dolphins came through. I mean, I could go down if I stayed there for a half hour. I could see 5, 10, 10 whales. I mean, whales and dolphins. But I only see the whales. I don't see the dolphins. But the whales that are coming through is in incredible numbers. All right. I was here 6 years on this island, and I only saw about 2 whales in that whole time frame. Now I can see 6 whales in an hour or a half hour, and everybody's seeing them. So it's something's different about that alone. Now, the government doesn't like dolphins for a major reason I'm not going to get into. We got a bunch of noise boxes in the ocean around the swimming areas so that the dolphins can't come in there. They're afraid of dolphins, and I'll tell you why. Dolphins are as equally smart as we are. No other creature is. No other creature is. All right. Their brain is exactly like ours. They just use different parts of it. They got radar, sonar. They can communicate with 150 words. A monkey can only do 50. All right. On top of that, they're intelligent, incredibly. Now, what the government's using them for is a weapon. And whenever they classify something as a weapon or a medicine, it's restricted. All right. So they feel people can't be around dolphins. And those boxes keep the dolphins out. But there was a man here who I had on my show a long time ago who actually does birthing with a woman in the ocean with dolphins around them. I'm not going to go into the story, but he was forbidden to do it. You're not allowed to do that here in Hawaii. So he has to go to other islands with people to do that if they want to do it. It's an incredible thing. I might bring him on just to tell a story because he's doing it in other countries when he can. He's not super rich, so it's not like he can fly everywhere. It's up to the people that want to do this that can actually fly him there and everything else. But dolphins are intelligent. They're always there when a woman's giving birth in the ocean. They do a prayer ceremony at night, and when they go to the ocean, the dolphins are there. So, but the government scientists have no clue where and why and how dolphins got here. The same as they don't know how the human race got here. And we weren't hatched and all the other things. And man wasn't the one that was first, and then a woman came out of them. All the lies religions created, twisted, and molded into a religion. And science will never prove anything important. Right now, everything you see in the UFO world, a Tic Tac is real. Wow, but what's driving it? And why is it there? And what is it really doing? It's going to take them another 50 years to get closer to those answers even. While videos are being put up online of incredible ships everywhere. They're going to every part of the planet, every country. And it's being restricted in one country. I mean, Russia came out publicly on Russian TV and said, we are working with 27 alien races. And they wanted to know, they want Trump to come out and tell the world what we're doing. And he doesn't know. He doesn't believe in them, supposedly. And then when he met Putin, you remember that? The day after he created the Space Force, which was already there. He just gave it a name. All right. But the lies and the things that went on, and people want these people in power. They don't support poor and middle-class people. None of them do. None of them are helping us. The medical field is screwing us over every which way. All right. I'm not even going into what's happening with medicine in Hawaii. They're stopping people from getting it for weeks at a time. If you're extreme pain, and then they make you sign a paper saying if you drink, you lose your permit to get medicine. Whatever, your ability to get medicine. It's horrible. But The words you need to look up and check out, you might not believe them or not, UN Agenda 30. Meaning by 2030, we will be under one world order. AI will be in full control of most everything. The population will be depleted. All right. You'll see it. You're going to see it every year grow. They're not talking about what's going on the sun, what's really happening there. All right. They're not going to tell you about what they're doing on the moon, and they're never going to tell you what they're doing on Mars. Mr. Musk has his desire to go to Mars so bad. I write him letters every day. You want to talk about helping the planet, saving the world, and all you care about is putting a ship on Mars and going there. I said, all the money you waste, even just doing your show and talking about that, instead of saving starving children, or building homes of homeless women, abused women, and things that are really important in the United States alone, people. Never mind child slavery and sales and all that. If I had money, that would be the only concern. The first thing I would do is build homes for children. All right, which these people should be thinking about. These children become what their environment is. If they're starving to death every day, what do you think they're going to become? A genius and everything else? What are they going to do to make money? They have no abilities except stealing, robbing, and things like that. And then when they're around other people that are just as bad, killing and murder and all those kind of things are happening, is it going to stop? No. Do people care? And, I have to say this every show that I do now. Rich people, I don't care who you are, Oprah, Musk, if you got a lot of money, even Putin, all right, you'll never find a spiritual path. You'll never get closer to God, and you will never understand God. Because if you have money, a lot of money, obviously you have no clue. Because if you're rich, you could help a lot more than keeping money in the bank and hoping that you could give it to somebody. Oprah, who's she giving all that money to when she dies? When she could do incredible miracles right now with it. So can Musk. So can they all of them. They all got tons of money, and what are they doing? Thinking that a car is going to help us make the world better? If people can't respect each other, you can give them anything you want. Is it going to make the world better? The idea that people believe guns are important is ridiculous. But now the most important thing, based on this show, is why does the government work with aliens, and what are they really doing? Well, it's always about being number one controlling the planet. And the UN Agenda 30 will be one person. Now, I'm going to throw this in real fast. There's a couple videos out of an alien interrogation. Watch it. It's real. I'm not saying everything the alien says is real, because he's got a twisted reality as well as we do. How the earth was created and all those kind of things. But he did say one person will destroy the planet. And the government was trying to make him, the interrogators were trying to get him to say who. Well, I can't say. Well, tell us who it is. And who knows what they did to him after the show while they were not filming it. Whitney Schreiber was pretty famous in the UFO world. He watched it and he was crying while he was watching it. People, it was a real interrogation. And we did work with aliens. We did have EB and all those kind of things went down. But is it helping anything to talk about that? No. Why Tina and I do the show is the most important thing happening. And nobody's really talking about it. Linda Moulton Howe and cattle mutilation. Yeah, well, that's not going to stop anytime soon. She can't even prove how it's happening. After 40 years of working on cattle mutilation, and she's stealing documents and trying to promote herself as that, please, people, when you reach power in the UFO world, it's just like anything else. The more money you get, the more corrupted you become. The more corrupted you become, no matter who you are. And I quote Jesus' saying, he wrote it 3 times he didn't write it, somebody wrote it 3 times in the Bible. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get in heaven. And it's a fact, people. Think about it. It makes the most sense. If you're living in a rich neighborhood and you got tons of money, would you want some poor family moving next door and living in the ghettos, and another family moving in next door and living in the ghettos? Do you want to pay for people that are sick and old and all that? No, they don't. You're going to see the population of elders deteriorate. I'm 71. You're going to see the population of sick people deteriorating. It's already 150,000 people die a year. Not a year, sorry, in a month. And basically, out of the 150, 100 of them, 100,000 die in the hospital. All right, so think about that one. How's that happen? You think in the hospital they survive and pull out of it and whatever the story is. I'm not saying you go in dying and they're going to make you live. I mean, they're not Jesus by any wild imagination. All right, but in the interim, people, people want to hear stories. They love stories. They love violence. Somebody should come out and tell the truth about the wars we have with aliens. We had 3 on planet Earth and 3 in space. And do you hear a word about them? Now, nobody's listening right now, but whoever pulls this show up, when you go into the internet and you start exploring, pull up Phil Schneider. All right. And you will find the second most important story. That's Schneider. Phil Schneider. His story is the second most important UFO story that ever happened. Why? Well, listen to his story. Listen to how he supposedly died. People, I know this whole thing with Congress and, we're going to find out. Now, to make it so ridiculous, 2 people in Congress said, well, maybe they're not aliens. Maybe they're just demons. Okay, that's ridiculous as well. Demons and aliens are separate. And then we got these people in Congress talking about a Tic Tac. We have nothing better to talk about a Tic Tac? Well, the main thing what I'm trying to say is the only thing that humans around the planet, normal people, should worry about is why aliens want humans. Why they want them. Meaning abduction and disappearances. In 1923 or 21, I'm trying to think what year it was, 100,000 people went missing in the United States. And I mean, there's 3 books out about parks, and they don't have to say how many people go missing. And there's a car there on top of a mountain. There's a family, and they're not there now. They didn't fall off the cliff. They didn't disappear in the lake or a river. Where did they go? People, things happen for a reason. And why it's going down, the government's not going to tell you. Because they can't stop it. Tina was abducted many times. She has the most important UFO story about abduction than anyone else in the UFO world right now. We do a show every week. She's radioactive. Nobody cares. But it's an impossible radioactivity that she's exposed to because it goes up and down. If anybody knows about radiation, it stays the same. It doesn't go up, doesn't go down. But she just bought another Geiger counter on top of the one we both bought. And it goes off while we're doing the show. People, it's time to wake up. Instead of listening to all these people in the UFO world going on about nothing, what the government's doing, they don't know. People that do put out the wrong truth disappear. And that's a fact, people. I know it from my personal self. Why they don't take me out? Because people don't care. People don't listen to me. I mean, if I was Richard Dolan, everybody would listen to every single word I say, like it's real. And he always said, well, I think. He never was next to a UFO. He was never next to an alien. He was never next to a Bigfoot. And he's even now doing a show with his wife about spiritualism, like he knows a thing about it. All right. There's very few people in the UFO world that are spiritual. And there's very few people in the spiritual world that know anything about the truth. All right. Energy and consciousness have nothing to do with God and the higher realms that God created. Aliens cannot get into it either. I can only tell you, when you become aware, you learn to leave your body, you meet with what you're supposed to meet with to travel, and get into the higher realms, if you can ever, you'll see the difference between what we talk about and what's real. This world, yeah, protons, neutrons, electrons, and atom smashes and all that have to do with the energy of this reality, not God's worlds. It doesn't exist there. It's not needed to be there in the first place. We create everything we need, and by creating it, we need it. Mankind, and I'll say this, is only here for one thing: to make better toys. That's all they do. Well, this stops us from doing that. This stops us. Well, when we work the fields with our hands, we were more connected to it than putting a machine out there doing everything. When all the jobs that are on this planet are being done by robots, what are you going to do? If you can't fix a robot, which eventually robots will be able to fix themselves like some of the movies, guess what? What do they need you for? To put in a spaceship to fly to Mars? And who do you think is going to go in those ships that eventually go traveling in space? The poor people? The middle class people? Homeless people? Well, let's just ship them out into space. No, they're not going to have to. They wouldn't waste the money to do that. And then when Stephen Gray comes out, they offered him $3 billion. To take one person out? They could build a city rather than take him out. And it would cost them, what, $100 or less? People that are in the service have to do things without getting paid for doing it? Are you ready for the truth, people? Or do you want to live in dreamland? I'm sorry Tina's not here, and we're not going directly into that kind of situation. I was never abducted. I was next to an alien. All right. I wasn't abducted by it. I wasn't able to destroy the spaceship, but we chased the alien with sticks and everything when I was younger. But when I worked with somebody, we did a lot of work in the UFO world out on a field that was owned by the government. And Mr. Tesla worked with DuPont there in New Jersey. During that time frame, people, this is the most important story that you need to know and should worry about. When Tesla worked with DuPont, they were working in an underground city. I don't know what was above it. They show railroad tracks and stuff, but there was 2 tunnels inside both sides of the mountain, which we were trying to get into, and the steel bars couldn't cut through it no matter what we brought up there. But during that time frame, Tesla in his notes said he worked with an alien race. And he did. He came out with 200 inventions, 50 of the most deadliest weapons on the planet, which he gave to the United States government. People, do you care? Or do you want stories? Well, when that was happening in Wanakee, New Jersey, the reservoir was created. They flooded a whole city. They brought all the people out, made them get out of the city, and they flooded it. During 9 months after that, the whole time, UFOs were going in and out of the reservoir. The government was there. They surrounded it for that whole time frame. They couldn't stop the ships from going in and out of there. But the story was never really went public. Why? It's not like the aliens were doing anything that we know of at that time frame, just going in and out of a reservoir. But why, people? Why did they flood the city? I'm not going to go into all the details about it, but it is an important story because what Tesla released in Wanakee, New Jersey was a vortex. I'm not going to debate the people that were involved with it, that claim this, that, and the other thing. It was opened. And when it was opened, it allows negative energy and entities, creatures, you name it, to come into our reality. Why? Because it's merging this reality with the astral world. All right, and that, I mean, if you watch all these ghost shows and spirits and demon shows and all that kind of stuff, You're going to see videos of creatures and strange phenomena. Oh, it's not AI, it's real. Because look at these people. They go and ghost busting and a ghost taps them on the shoulder and they run out of the house. If you're dealing with something, have the balls to deal with what you're dealing with. Why would you run from a ghost if you're trying to film it and catch it and talk to it or release it, whatever you're doing? Well, for me, at 16 years old, I worked in New York City and New Jersey. We were doing ghost busting. I call it now, because of the Ghostbuster movie. We were freeing souls that were trapped. And especially in New York City, in Harlem, which was the first place George Washington set up the first headquarters in the United States. And it's called the Jumeau Mansion now. And when he left, Madame Jumel was married to Samuel Jumel and lived in that house. But the spirits that were killed there were there as long as we went. Samuel Jumel ended up dead in the room, and they never released how he died in the room. But it was the most haunted house in the United States that I know of, for real. They used to take school buses there to tour it, and they would all see the women staring out the window and different things when they got there. You go inside that house, no matter who I brought there would experience things. But I worked with one of the top mediums at that time, rated by New York Psychic Center as #1, who had abilities. And I proved everything she said to me, and she would prove basically whatever she was channeling. You can only channel a spirit if they're able to be channeled. You can't make a spirit come through to channel them. And if you can channel them, it means they didn't move on. All right? And they're still in the lower realm, and they can't get out of it. Lower realm, I'm in between the astral plane and here. All right? But when I was doing that, I learned a lot about spirits and creatures and demons and energy, because when you hypnotize somebody, which I was doing at the same time, you hypnotize everything that's around that person as well as you, and you can get a lot of things talking, coming through that person. Spirits want to talk, and now that they got these machines where they can talk to them, it's starting to happen. But you're not going to get anything important. The spirit's not going to come out. Well, if you do this, you're going to stop the world from ending. Or when you do this, it'll stop an earthquake from happening. Or if you do this, it'll stop the global warming. All right? You don't become an angel when you die. You don't become superpowered, and you don't become super aware of anything more. Well, when you go to the astral plane, you'll understand that it's a better place to be than here, which is one thing that you can learn. All souls that leave this physical reality go to the astral plane. All right, you can't go past it. Most people cannot, because there's certain things you got to do. And here's a word. When they say God and gods, I call them little gods. There's only one God. But the little gods, all right, that dwell on the astral plane, keep souls from getting past that realm until going into the next one. Because if we allowed a sick soul from this reality to go into the higher worlds, it would do what it does here. Kill, steal, all kinds of odd things. But soul is different. Once you go past the third world, you're no longer a person. You're no longer male or female. And I think if people really understand that or learn that, they don't want to go there. They'll stay in the astral plane. If you like to eat when you want to and go anywhere you want to when you want to, you're not going shopping for clothes every day, but you can't kill anybody either. It's a better place every which way that way than planet Earth. But God doesn't work directly there either. It has 3 deities, little gods. And for people that are so ignorant, Lucifer was one of the highest angels that fell down with the rest of them. He didn't become Satan, and Satan's not his son either. God created and allowed Satan to be what it is for a reason. Lucifer was an angel, and all angels were created for a reason. But when you screw up the actual plan that you're supposed to be doing, you pay the consequences. In this physical world, you kill somebody, you reincarnate. Period. Jesus is not going to come back and save your soul. Praying's not going to help you. Karma is there, and you got to pay it back. Buddha was 100% right about karma. Karma keeps soul reincarnating. But there's other words that go along with it, people. I'm not going to go much further, but uh, religions use the word, two religions do: lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. But attachment to this reality keeps you coming back. Karma created makes you come back. All right. But you don't become a god or an angel. You can't say, well, I want to be this when I come back. And you definitely don't have to come back as your family and your child that's born in that family or anything like that either. And you think when a rich person dies, what do they come back as? You can't become a king and a queen anymore. What's left? The president? And the presidents are probably the most useless people on the planet, having an ego, thinking they have the right to tell people what to do. People, I put all things together. Congress, all right, was created for a reason, and it wasn't to help people, all right? The electoral votes wasn't to help create or help middle class and poor people. It was created for the opposite reason. The Constitution was created to control people, all right? It was through that they started killing all the native people, not before, all right? Because they wanted everything that was here. Gold was the biggest issue, but everybody wanted it, and then they didn't want everybody to have gold. There's probably more gold on the reservations now than that could supply the whole planet over and over for probably 1,000 years. And the government knows that. The same as well as oil. But not to say that our government was good for people, normal, middle class, poor people. It was never for that. It wasn't created to help poor people become normal. It was to stop them from becoming a voter so that they can put who they want in as president. That's what electoral votes were created for, people. Trump won it. Why? Think about it. Look it up. I'm not making all this stuff up, people. I don't lie, and I don't like to tell stories. Find out the facts about the Constitution. Find out about the electoral votes. Find out what Thomas Jefferson and George Washington were noted for: killing the most Native Americans. Period. They didn't do anything else positive. The Constitution, the laws are against our rights, every one of them. The right to carry a gun was for a different reason then, people. Shoot an alien? No, to shoot Native people. They got paid to kill Native people, even children. Wounded Knee was a slaughter of women and children, people. It wasn't a famous battle. There was a few men there. I'm aware of my past lives. I was there when it happened. It was the most grotesque thing that ever happened in the United States, people. You want the truth? You want to live in La La Land? Oh, the aliens are coming. They're going to save us. They're going to bring us gold bricks and money and food. No. What do you think they need for food, people? Ask these people that talk to aliens. Ask them what their favorite food is. And what do they really eat? I'm not talking dimensional beings, because they live on light. They don't need to eat people, animals, or anything. But they also don't have to fly around in a spaceship. People don't know the difference between that. They don't know the difference between time. Just because somebody wrote things in time doesn't make it real. Billy Myers came out with a Bible. He said he found a document of Judas, all right? And he claimed that Judas was an alien. No, Judas was the closest disciple to Jesus. He was the only one that would do anything that Jesus told him to do, and that's what he did. After it was over, he couldn't deal with it. But by the same token, if Jesus said spit on the ground, he would. He said bend over, he would. Not like all the other disciples, like when he was taken, they all denied Jesus, right? Way back, I'm not going to get into it. I think it's sad because after Jesus was killed, they were ready to walk away from the path. Well, he's gone. Now who do we listen to? That's all it was to them. Except for Mary Magdalene, who was Jesus's equal. She had all the abilities that Jesus had. You can't teach an ability if you don't have it. I'm going to teach you levitation. I can't do it. How can I teach you it? 32 psychic abilities existed because Jesus went through ascension, which nobody else on this planet has gone through, with all their lies and stories and twisted ideas. They're liars. They're false prophets for a word. And if you don't know, you don't need prophecies from people. Read Revelations. God gives the whole prophecy. It's short, people. You might not like the Bible. Read Revelations. It's only a few pages. It's not long. You could probably read it in 2 days or around there. Read it 2 times, because your first time it's going to be hard to even understand it. Second time you might try to translate what's being said, understand what he says. The 7th sign and all those things, the 4 horses and all those kind of words and stuff, what it really means. But he did say there'll be so many false prophets destroying the planet. But he talked about hundreds of angels, not 9. There's only 9 mentioned in the whole Bible. All right. Look, I don't want to go into religion. To me, it's not religion. It's real. It's what happened and what people program themselves to believe. You program yourself to believe something. It doesn't make it a religion unless you look at religion as a program. It's not the truth. No religion has the total truth, or most have very, very little. Very little. All right. Christianity has 2.5 billion followers, and not one of them. I'll challenge right now anybody that thinks they know what Jesus was really teaching, come on my show. We'll talk about it. He didn't come here to take your sins. He didn't come here to protect you from sins and everything else. Sorry, people. That's your karma. You got to deal with that. That's why reincarnation exists. Jesus talked about it. But you think the disciples could understand that? They were dealing with stupid little words. How could they understand that word? They only had a limited vocabulary in those days. Everything we make, we give it a word. But the ideas were there. But they didn't understand. They didn't understand the word God. That's why he had to use the word Father. My Father. Father. You all know your father, hopefully. Unless you left when you were born. You wouldn't know the idea of a father, but you would know the idea of a mother. But it was about ideas that they knew. They were fishermen, farmers. What were they? Horseshoe makers. I mean, what did they know about spiritual things? If anybody did any psychic thing, they were demons. And I did years research on that as well. Most of the spiritual people that came into this world were killed. 1 or 2, well, 2 I know definitely were almost killed, but most of them were killed. Sad thing, people. Because they were afraid. Because to rule a country, you need power. To have power, you have to have gold, money, and everything else. It has nothing to do with spiritual truth, spiritual awareness. And if Jesus came out and brought awareness to all these people, guess what? They wouldn't need this king and queen that was controlling them. Well, people, I did enough for today. I don't want to bring these any further, because if you didn't accept anything I said so far, you're not going to accept anything else more. But please, Tina will hopefully be back on next Tuesday. I had to go to the doctor last Tuesday. This Tuesday. So we will be doing I do an hour show no matter what. She's been pretty sickly through everything she's going through right now. So she can only do a half hour. We used to do an hour. All right, people? But till next week, Hawksblood1AOL.com. Text me, email me, have questions of truth, not stories, not fantasies, not fake ideas. You want to attack me, send it to Hawksblood1AOL.com. All right? I only deal with truth, people. You can call me anything you want. I don't lie, I don't cheat, don't steal. But I give you everything that I know as fact, that I prove to myself. And it's what you should do for yourself. Anything you accept, prove it. You accept somebody as your master teacher, prove that they're worthy of it. And then If they can't teach you to be better than them, they're a useless teacher. If you're always going to be a slave to your master, he's not a good teacher or a good master either. Well, till next time, people, enjoy your day or night, wherever you are. From Hawaii, the Big Island. Till next time, people.